Leaving your agency is probably the scariest thing that most agents will ever do, and most of them will get it completely wrong. Most agents think leaving their agency is a massive betrayal that will destroy their reputation or something. But the reality is, less than 5% of agents work for one agency their entire career. Moving on is a fairly normal path. You just have to do it right. I'm Dan Lee, founder of Plum Property, one of Queensland's largest independent agencies, and owner of Plum Partners, where we've helped more than 50 high-performing agents create, run and grow their own brand. In this episode, we're talking about how to leave your agency ethically and the 5 biggest challenges agents face when making that move. If you're considering leaving your agency right now, I know exactly what you're thinking. You're sitting there, maybe you're doing 30, 40, 50 deals a year, who knows, but you're bringing in a massive amount of GCI and you're thinking, I want to go out on my own, or I want to start my own business, or build my own brand, or maybe just move to a different agency that actually supports my growth. But you're terrified. You're scared shitless. And I know you are, because I was exactly the same way. I remember when I was about 31 years old and I was making the decision to leave the agency I'd been at for almost 10 years. 10 years, guys. I built a massive business within that business. I had a team. I had the reputation with that brand. I was comfortable. Oh my God, I was comfortable. And the thought of leaving all of that, walking away and starting from scratch, it was one of the scariest decisions I ever made in my life. I used to struggle to sleep at night. I would lie there thinking, what if I lose everything? What if people don't want to list with me? What if my boss comes after me? What if I fail and I have to go back to my old agency with my tail between my legs? What if I'm making the biggest mistake of my career? But I did it. I left on a Friday and I started my own business on a Monday in a 2-bedroom apartment that I owned. I had nothing but my name, my reputation, and my relationships in the marketplace. And let me tell you something, it was the best decision I ever made. 5 years on from that moment, I had built something I was genuinely proud of, something that was mine. And 10 years on from that, I am so much further ahead than I ever would have been staying where I was. So today I want to talk to you about the realities of leaving your agency. I'm going to break down 7 things you need to know, the actions you need to take, and how to navigate this massive transition, because let me tell you, it's actually not as bad as you think it is. But you have to do it right. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to say is that moving on is part of the journey. Almost everyone does it at least once in their career. And let's start with the hard truth of this, which I think will actually give you a lot of comfort. And that is that less than 5% of real estate agents ever work for only one agency their entire career. Think about that for a second. Less than 5%. That means that 95% of agents, the overwhelming majority, will make at least one move in their career. Most will make several. Now look around your office. Look at the top performers in the marketplace. Have they always been at the same place? Chances are they probably used to work somewhere else, and they may work somewhere else in the future. And look at all the people who now own successful real estate businesses. Every single one of those real estate business owners was an agent at an agency at some point. Every single one. No one goes straight into real estate business ownership. No one starts day one owning a massive rent roll and having a team of 15 salespeople, or even wanting to be a sales principal because they don't know what they're doing. They all started exactly where you are right now. Prospecting, letterbox dropping, doing the grind, working under someone else's brand, likely as a real estate agent. So at some point in your career, you might have to make a move. You might have to make the decision to leave your agency because you've decided the agency you're in isn't supporting you the way you need it to. And I want you to understand that this is a natural evolution of a real estate career. If you're a high performer, if you have ambition, if you want to build real wealth for yourself and your family, you cannot stay stagnant. You need to be in a very supportive, growth-focused culture, or you should make a move. Change agencies or work for yourself. Getting comfortable is when you get slaughtered in this industry. I see it happen so many times. An agent who has grown to a certain point and then they just stay exactly the same year after year because they're either too comfortable or too worried about changing. And the years go by, and boy, do they go by quickly. 5 years down the track, they're just in exactly the same spot. They haven't grown. They're doing just the same amount of sales they did last year. They've just gotten comfortable. And that might be okay for some. But for most high performers, you're very ambitious. And if you're not cool with that, then you have to do something about it. So for some of you, the question isn't if you're going to leave, it's when and how. How should you do it? What action should you take to make sure that when you make that leap, you land on your feet and you hit the ground running? You have to realize that making a move, it's just business. It's the next step in your professional journey. Don't look at it as some massive betrayal or some crazy outlier event. It's the proven path that almost every successful agent before you has taken at some point. The agents you look up to, the ones doing 100 deals a year, the ones running businesses and standing on the stage at real estate conferences, they've all made a move at some point. You're just stepping up to the plate to take your turn. And when you get to the other side, you're going to look back and wonder, why was I so scared? The second point I want to make is that it's okay to feel sad. That's normal. And I want to touch on this emotional side a bit because this is where a lot of agents get really tripped up. It's usually never easy to say goodbye to your agency. Most agents, including myself, when they finally made the move to decide to leave, they're somewhat sad about it. And I want to tell you right now, that is completely and utterly normal. You see, we spend so much time at our offices, we spend more time with our colleagues and our bosses than we do with our own families sometimes. You've had good times at that agency, you've built yourself there, you probably started there when you knew absolutely nothing about real estate and they gave you a shot. So you feel some really heavy loyalty there. They gave you a desk, they gave you a phone, and they gave you a chance. And you've got great memories there. You've celebrated massive wins. You've been to the Christmas parties, the award nights, the Friday afternoon drinks. You've had the tough days where a deal fell through and your colleagues picked you up. Very few agents are actually leaving where they're at because they absolutely hate the place. I mean, sure, there are some toxic offices out there, and if you're in one of those, run, don't walk. But for the majority of high performers who are leaving to start their own thing or move to a better agency, they don't hate where they are necessarily. They just know that they've outgrown that place. They know that their potential is bigger than what this particular business can offer them. And that's a beautiful thing, even though it doesn't always feel that way to the business owner and to the agent themselves. It's 100% normal to feel sad about leaving. You're closing a massive chapter in your life. When I was at my agency for almost 10 years, it was highly emotional for me. I'd grown up there. I started there when I was 22 years old, looking like I was 18. I've told that story before. I had mentors there. I had friends there. I had people who'd poured into me and helped shape the agent I became. And walking away from that felt like a loss, even though I knew it was the right thing for me to do. But here's the thing. You have to separate the emotion from the business decision. You can be grateful for the past, you can cherish the moments, and you can still recognize that the future lies somewhere else. The two things are not mutually exclusive. You're not betraying anyone by wanting to grow. You're not being disloyal by wanting more for yourself and your family. Acknowledge those feelings, let yourself feel them, but don't let the sadness or the nostalgia keep you anchored to a place where you can no longer grow. The best thing for you that you can do for yourself, and honestly for the people at that agency, is to go out there and become the best version of yourself. That's how you honor the people who helped build you. Now this brings me to my next point, which is don't stay at an agency just out of pity or because you feel sorry for the business owner. Okay, this is a really important one. It's not the right thing to stay in a business just because you feel sorry for the business owner. And I have heard this before quite a number of times. Agents come to me, they're doing huge numbers and they want to do their own thing or they want to move, but they say, Dan, I really want to leave, but my boss relies on me so much. If I leave, the sales team's going to fall apart. The office is going to lose half its revenue. I just feel so bad about doing that to them. I can't do it to them. And look, I get it. I understand that feeling because you're a good person. You care about the people around you. But listen to me very carefully here. You're running a business within a business. You're essentially independently driving your own revenue, but with office support. You built your database, you built your relationships, you did the prospecting, the cold calls, the open homes, the late nights. You earned that reputation in the marketplace. It's not actually your responsibility to keep your boss's business afloat at the expense of your own future. And look, I'm saying this as the boss of a real estate agency. I have agents that work in my business, and I'd be devastated if any of them left. But it's my responsibility to provide a valuable service to those agents so they stick with me. And it's the responsibility of the business owner to make sure they have multiple revenue streams so they're not completely fucked if a high-performing agent leaves. If their entire business model relies on you staying there forever and giving them a 40 or 50% of your commission while they provide minimal value in return, that's a flaw in their business model, not yours. And you shouldn't be handcuffed to the business because of it. A well-run agency should not be completely dependent on any one agent. That's not a good model. If they are, they've got a structural problem that the business owner needs to fix. That is not your problem to solve by sacrificing your own career. You should only stay in an agency if you genuinely believe it is the right business for you to thrive in. Ask yourself honestly, are they providing you with great leadership? Are they investing in your marketing? Are they helping you to build a team? Are they pushing you to the absolute best version of yourself? Are they giving you a pathway to grow? And do you think the splits are fair enough? If the answer is yes to the majority of those questions, then fantastic. You should probably stay. You found a good place. And there are some brilliant leaders and business owners in Australian real estate. And if you're working for one of them, that is genuinely hard to find. But if you're doing all the heavy lifting, if you're bringing in all the business and the only reason you're staying is because you feel guilty, that is a terrible reason to sacrifice your potential and your family's financial future. There has to be a good value add that the agency does for you as an agent, and guilt is not a business strategy. And here's the harsh reality check I want to give you. If you think your boss will completely turn against you when you leave, if you're terrified that they're going to hate you, try to ruin you, and make your life hell, then your relationship with them is only surface level business based anyway. So think about it. A true mentor, a true leader who actually cares about you as a human being will be proud of you for taking the next step. Of course, they might be disappointed to lose you. Yeah, sure. They might even be a bit hurt, but a good leader will shake your hand and understand and wish you well, and they'll mean it because they want you to succeed. They want you to be the person they help to build, to go out there and do great things. And if your boss is going to throw an absolute massive tantrum and become a nightmare afterwards just because you want a better life for yourself, that tells you everything you need to know about what they valued you for. They valued your commission splits, nothing more than that, and that is not the kind of relationship that's worth staying for. The next thing I want to make really clear is that the conversation is never as bad as you think, all right? So let's say you've made the decision, you know you have to go. Now comes the part that gives everyone a knot in their stomach. The conversation. You know, walking into the boss's office and handing in your resignation. Geez, you'll be up all night before you do that the next day. I want you to hear it. I want you to hear this. The conversation is never as bad as you think it's going to be. It's exactly like going to the gym. You know the hardest part about going to the gym? It's actually putting your shoes on, getting in the car and driving there. Once you're actually at the gym doing the workout, it's fine and you feel good. You wonder, why were you making such a big deal about it in the beginning? It's because the anticipation of the pain is always worse than the reality. The hardest part of leaving your agency is exactly the same. It's the week leading up to it. It's the sleepless nights. It's the scenarios playing out in your head where your boss starts flipping desks and screaming at you and telling you they're going to come after you with lawyers. It's imagining every possible way it could go wrong. And all of that is just your brain doing what brains do, catastrophizing. The reality is the hardest part is actually just walking into the office to tell them you're leaving. But when you sit down, look them in the eye and say, hey, I've got some difficult news, but I have made the decision to move on and start my own business. It's usually over in 5 minutes. Most business owners have been through this before. Remember what I said at the start? Everyone leaves eventually. They know the game. They might be shocked. They might try and counteroffer. They might be a bit defensive in the moment, but they're business people. And they left their business once too. And they'll wrap their heads around it pretty quickly. Just keep it professional. Keep it brief. You don't need to give them a massive list of reasons why they suck and why you're leaving. You don't need to air every grievance you've ever had. To be honest, there's actually been all the time in the world to get that out up until this point. And if you've already made the decision, keep it short. Just tell them you're taking the next step in your career, you appreciate everything they've done for you, and you're moving on. Rip the Band-Aid off as quickly as you can. And then once you have that conversation, I promise you the weight of the world will just lift off your shoulders. That anxiety has been sitting on your chest for weeks, gone. Because the thing you were dreading is now done. And now you can focus all of that energy on your new business or your new venture, your new chapter, and your future. Now, the next point I want to drill into agents is that you really should do your best to leave ethically. Your reputation is everything, and no matter if you don't like the business or whether you had problems there before, you should try and do the right thing on the way out because that's what a good person does. Now, how you leave is just as important as the fact that you're leaving. Yeah, you should leave ethically. I cannot stress this enough. Because real estate is a small world, your marketplace is even smaller, your reputation is the most valuable asset. The brand above your head doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things. Your name, your reputation, your relationships you've built, the trust people have in you, you can't afford to tarnish it by doing stupid things on the way out of the door, all right? You shouldn't try to run off with the whole database in the middle of the night. You shouldn't try and actively steal all of their staff and try and sabotage the agency. Don't do really destructive things. Don't go around to every client and badmouth your old boss. Don't try to blow the whole place up on your way out. That stuff will come back to bite you. It does every time. So try to leave ethically. Finish up your current obligations as best as you can. Hand over what needs to be handed over. Be transparent about your timeline. If you've got a notice period, work it. If there are deals in progress, handle them professionally. Just do the right thing. Look, here's the thing. You get very worried about missing a commission here or a property like staying at the agency and you can't take it with you. Don't worry about that stuff. This is a massive life decision. If one listing gets caught in the crossfire and it has to stay and you lose a commission, it doesn't matter. Just try and leave ethically. You're going to pick up all the pieces as soon as you're gone. And look, if your boss turns against you and they become an absolute asshole, if they lock you out of your emails the second you resign, they start talking trash about you to the rest of the team and to clients, that's their problem. Let them act like that. It won't end well for them, all right? People will see through that nasty attitude that they've got of you. You take the higher ground every time. And when you take the higher ground, you always win in the long run. The staff in that office will see how you handled yourself with class and they'll see how the boss reacted. And guess what? When those staff members are ready to leave, and they will be at some stage, who do you think they're going to call? They're going to call you because you showed them what real leadership looks like. You showed them that you can handle adversity with dignity. So protect your reputation at all costs. Be the professional, be the bigger person. It will pay off massively. And look, this kind of moves on nicely into the next point, which is just don't fear the legal letters that might come. Okay, so let's talk about this big, scary monster that keeps so many agents completely paralyzed. The legal threats. A lot of agents are terrified to leave their business because of how their bosses will react, and specifically the fear that they will come after them with lawyers. Like, oh, they're going to sue me. They're going to enforce my restraint of trade. They're going to take everything I've built. I hear this consistently, and I want to address it head on because this fear is keeping some really talented agents trapped in situations that are holding them back. Your boss might send you legal letters, and if they do, just don't panic. At the end of the day, unless you've done some really, really bad stuff, unless you've literally stolen all of their intellectual property, breached massive confidentiality agreements, and they can absolutely prove that you've done horrendous things that have cost their business hundreds of thousands of dollars, they can't really do anything meaningful to you, okay? Those restraint of trade clauses, they're pretty difficult to enforce, all right? Now, I'm not a lawyer, so you got to go and get your own advice. Let me be really clear about that. But I have been in this industry a long time, and I've helped a lot of agents transition to their own business, okay? I've seen a lot of this play out, and I can tell you that 99.9% of the time, after a couple of letters from lawyers puffing their chests out, it just calms down. It fizzles out because the reality is taking someone to court is very expensive, it's time consuming, and if you haven't actually done anything seriously wrong, you've just left your agency, they're probably going to lose, and they know that. The legal letters are usually a scare tactic. They're designed to intimidate you into staying or scare you into not competing with them in the marketplace, right? Because even if they can stop you from listing a dozen properties in a year, they're ahead. They spent $1,000 or $2,000 on a legal letter to scare you, and you didn't sell another 12 properties and they got 6 of them. They won. They earned some great money doing that. But listen, here's the thing. You have a right to earn a living. You have a right to work in your area. You have a right to call on the relationships you've personally built over years of hard work. So the reality is, yeah, you might get sent a few lawyer letters. You might have to engage your own lawyer to respond to a couple of things. That's annoying. Might cost you a few grand. I get it. But what is that going to cost you? As I said, a couple of grand, maybe $5,000 at the worst. Whatever it costs, it's a finite number. And when you look at the other side of the equation, what's it going to cost you staying in that business for many, many more years to come? If you're giving away $300,000 commission a year in splits and you stay for 5 more years because you're scared out of a $5,000 legal bill, you just cost yourself $1.5 million. You've traded a $1.5 million for the avoidance of a few uncomfortable letters. Does that make sense? Of course it doesn't. So don't worry about those letters. Don't let the fear of a piece of paper with a law firm's letterhead on it stop you from building your empire. Get good advice, act ethically, call their bluff. They never go to court. And even if they do start proceedings, the moment they realize you're not going to roll over, most of the time they just back down. This kind of leads into my next point, point 7, which is keep a clean slate, right? I'm saying don't give that business more ammunition to come after you. I said it before and I'll say it again. Don't do really dodgy stuff. If you do really dodgy stuff, you give them a legitimate reason to unleash the lawyers for real. And then it's not just scare tactics anymore. It's a real problem. So try to leave ethically so you can walk away with a completely clean slate. A big sticking point is always current listings and pipeline. This is where things can get messy if you're taking listings with you. If the vendor explicitly says, I want to follow Dan to his new business, I don't care about the agency, I want Dan, I would highly recommend paying the agency for what they should have got in those deals. Think about it practically. You listed the property while you were under their brand, using their resources, their systems, their admin, under their employment agreement. The vendor follows you. Just offer the agency their split of the commission. Say, hey, the vendor wants to come with me, but I'm going to honor our split on this deal. Here's your percentage. Done, clean. No argument, no ammunition from them. They can still get angry at you, but they can't come after you for damages. You just want to try and make it a clean slate. So yeah, you've got your phone, you know there's personal relationships you've built, but don't download the entire CRM from their system, put it in an email from your work email and send it to yourself. That's just like ways to cause a lot of trouble for yourself. Do it cleanly so that there's absolutely nothing that they can hold over your head. And honestly, when you do that, most reasonable business owners will just respect the fact that you want to leave. And they might not be happy about losing you or a couple of listings, but they can't argue with you. You've done the right thing. And look, if you have to leave a bit of data behind or you have to leave a listing or two behind, I've said it before, right? Just get over it. Don't let it get to you. Don't fight tooth and nail over one listing. Don't lose sleep over a handful of contacts in a database. You're stepping into a huge future where you're going to write your own paycheck, build your own brand, create your own database from scratch. A database that's 100% yours. And to be honest, databases are easy to grow these days. You've got ID for me. You've got all sorts of ways that you can get your data back. No one can ever take from you your reputation, the relationships you've built, and you can get all the other stuff back really quickly. When you start your own business or you change agencies, you're going to have so much energy, so much drive, so much excitement that you'll replace that lost listing in your first week. Don't let petty squabbles over a few contacts or a single commission check drag you down into the mud with your old boss. Pay them out where it's fair, leave the scraps behind if you have to, and go build your wealth somewhere else. The future is way bigger than whatever you're leaving behind. Okay, so guys, wrapping it up, leaving your agency is a massive step. It's scary, it's emotional, and it requires a lot of courage. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's super easy because it's not. It's one of the hardest professional decisions you'll ever make. But if you're a high performer, if you want to build true wealth, if you want to be a leader and create an asset that you actually own, it's a step you have to take. So let me recap the 7 things I want you to take away from today. Number 1, less than 5% of agents work for an agency their whole career. Moving on is normal. It's a successful path most successful agents take. You're not an outlier for wanting to move. You are the majority. Number 2, it's okay to feel sad. Acknowledge the emotion, appreciate what the agency gave you, and then move forward. You can love where you've been and still know that it's time to go. Number 3, do not stay out of pity. Only stay if the business is genuinely the right place for you to thrive. Your career is not a charity. If your boss would turn against you for leaving, then what you had was never a real relationship anyway. Number 4, the conversation is never as bad as you think. The hardest part is walking into the office and doing it. Once you're in that chair having that conversation, it's done. It's over in 5 minutes. So rip the Band-Aid off. Number 5, leave ethically. Your reputation is your most valuable asset. So take the higher ground, do the right thing, and let your old boss's reaction be a reflection of their character, not yours. Number 6, don't fear the legal letters. Get your own advice, but understand that in the vast majority of cases, if you get a legal letter, it's a scare tactic. The cost of a few lawyer letters is nothing compared to the cost of staying trapped in that old agency. And the last one, number 7, keep a clean slate. Don't give them ammunition. Pay out what's fair on listings, leave the scraps behind if you have to, and walk away with your head held high and your hands clean. The agents that do this right, the ones who leave with class, start with energy and build with purpose. Those are the ones who look back in 5 years and say it was the best decision they've ever made. I know because I'm one of them. Now go do it. Get keen. Thanks for tuning in to the Get Keen podcast. If today's episode got you thinking about starting your own real estate business and building your own brand, Plum Partners may be able to help. Book a call using the link in the show notes, and let's see if we're the right fit to help you create, run, and grow your own real estate brand. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and follow me on Instagram at Dan_Lee_Plum. Until next time, keep getting keen.